Oh, pop psychology. You guys are doing really well. Can I get a check? Can I get a psychological board to make these statements? Obviously fucking not. So can I get a check up in here? Yeah, no. This pop psychology thing is really fucking going well. I'm gonna throw something back at you. You're gonna say, here's your MO. No, it's narcissism. What happened to schizophrenia? No, no, no. What happened? It's funny because I actually read about narcissism a lot. I've been reading about it for like 2 years because I get these Quora updates, and you're wrong. So first of all, I need to point out to you that everyone can have a trait of really any kind of diagnosis or MO does not make the person that. No. Second of all, we need to do some basic sociology here. Very basic sociology. This is my counter to your psychology. Hey, you're doing really well. No, no, no. Please, by all means, continue on. And be delusional with not listening to what I'm about to say and maintain your point of view, because that's a narcissistic trait of you. Okay, so let's talk about that. First of all, you have to realize that I can practice radical honesty all I want. The default positioning of having an agenda when you come on camera, which my agenda is twofold. One, to build up my own credibility through being radically honest, through what I understand of everything that is going on in my life or around me or whatever. Again, we're limited to what we can know. What you're acting like is like, well, she always thinks she's right, but you don't say shit about me being wrong. So, you always think you're right until something disproves that you're wrong, right? That's how it works. We wouldn't be doing what we think is wrong unless you have something else going on, unless we believed it to be so. We wouldn't have the beliefs. This is so good. Okay. You think you're right. You believe what you believe until something tells you otherwise, right? Except the key ingredient you guys are missing is something that tells me otherwise. You guys silently talk, but you don't present me with shit. So yeah, I'm going to continue to assume that what I'm thinking is correct until disproven otherwise. That's normal. That's not an MO. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is so pathetic. This is really pathetic. You guys are really fucking just any little thing. The game isn't if she's flawed. I'm always going to be flawed. It's do I have credibility? That's the game. You're switching the game. I told you this. There is no end line. It's just always some grave. So the question is, so narcissists are incapable of feeling empathy. But you've seen empathy from me. You know damn well I can feel empathy. I can feel bad for somebody in need of something, like say they don't have enough, whatever it is, food or shelter or whatever it is, clothing or whatever I can give them. And I've been pretty generous about giving. I don't have a lot, but to those in need. But that's empathy. Well, then rule out narcissists, because you cannot be an empathetic person and be a narcissist. Nope. That's the biggest thing, is that you can't have that. And also, there's no ulterior motive. I do the same for like homeless people as I would for, you've seen me. The only people I really give money to because I don't have it are homeless people. Or, a couple weeks ago there was this woman in a desperate situation, and I was like, let me go home and get you whatever you need. I'll get you blankets, I'll get you clothes, I'll get you whatever you need, but I have $5 cash. I ended up getting her food, but that doesn't exist, first of all. Now, you can have traits of anything. That does not mean, oh my fucking god. But you need to understand that though I try to be streamlined with, okay, the words out of my mouth I mean, or I wouldn't have said them. Now, I could be wrong. It could be that somebody eventually breaks the silence and goes, you blasted me and said that I said this and I did not. But yeah, and I've shown you when that has happened, and the amount of guilt and shame that I feel is palpable. I'm like crying and going, oh my god, I didn't mean to hurt you, and that this. So I have that capability of almost too much so, to where it's like, Jesus, Tara, forgive yourself. Like, yeah, no, that's, you have more than enough on that. Or let's say that there was a fact, like, I dated someone recently who we had completely different political ideologies, completely different religious ideologies, but when he made a point, I didn't just shut it down. No, I looked it up, and if I found that he was wrong, I'd announce it. But if I found that he was right, I'd announce that as well. I didn't know I could be a Jew. Turns out I'm probably part Jew, dude. I felt pretty good about that. I was like, I don't know why. I was like, I feel more grounded as a person. Like, am I more eclectic? Like, I don't know. I'm like, I always did like that song in the desert, with the mirage. Like, I was like, cool, man. And I admitted that I never saw that. The guy is pretty well researched. Not everything. I've caught some things that he makes assumptions, but some things I'm like sitting there like with my mouth open going, I did not know that until you told me that, and I looked it up and verified it, and I'm like, whoa, he's right. So there you go, right there. There were numerous times that he knew something politically or some religious this or that, where I'm like, that's not right, and then I look it up like, no, he actually is right. So, and I admitted that. But that right there shows I don't have to tell you what I researched and found. No, I don't. Not if I just want to be right. But I didn't do that. So, first of all of that. Second of all, let's look at the traits. Okay, so I want to point this out. When you are let's do some basic fucking sociology. Come on, it's not hard. When you look at the demographic of people who, for whatever reason, are social media influencers, is that necessarily ego? Could be. Could also be talent. Could also be they have an important message to say. In my case, I had nothing to do with being a social media influencer at all. You can look at the records. At all. So, I was forced into it. Yeah, for survival. In fact, my entire channel was called, like, something like, trying to save my own life. Yeah, so let's look at the reasons I became one. It's for survival. 100%. That's why there's no record of me doing this prior. Nah. So there you go, right there. That is the motivation narcissism? No. Do I like to listen to myself talk? Uh-huh. I will admit that. I do, but that's not why I come on here. Nah, but that's why I listen to the tapes later. I usually review it once or twice. If it's amusing, if it's boring, if it's just a document or something, I don't bother. But it's like, I know the grades I got. But, do I like that? Yeah, because I happen to really like the way that I speak. It is egoic and it's not egoic. I just am a fan of the way that I talk. It's not so much that I'm on camera. Sometimes I'm like, that is horrible footage of you, dude. You stumbled in some harsh light, like this light's not great right now on me. I'm like seeing these little flaws, see my bra straps out, like it's a shit show. But at the same time, my hair's not even brushed, nothing. I woke up and I did this. So feeling superior to others, you continue to try to tell me that I do. I will tell you that you do have a point in that if I think that you are somebody who's endorsing, say, the sex traffic industry through lies, yeah, I do feel really superior. That, I have a point. You have a point. But otherwise, I go back to, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I am a fucking Sigma. We're not equipped to compete with you. We don't give a rat's ass. Not a rat's ass. Sigmas are not alphas. Feeling superior to other people is an alpha trait. I'm not an alpha. I'm a Sigma. It means I don't care about what you think. No, and I'm sorry. But not really, because I just do my own thing. It doesn't mean we can't hear other people's opinions. It just means that we don't go around considering what you would think about it before we do our own thing that has nothing to do with you. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have consideration. Say you live in a mutual house and you want to paint the wall blue. Well, you probably should ask the other person that lives there first. That's not the thing. It's that when I'm sitting there and writing a book, I'm not worried about what you think about it. Not because I'm too busy doing me to worry about what you're doing. And you want to be like, but you think you're better than others. think I'm better than shit writers like Nancy who try to copy me. Yeah, but that's just facts. But that doesn't mean that I'm sitting there going, are you better than, you know, Noam Chomsky and, Rilke and Neruda and, no one's making that claim. Bukowski, no one's making that claim. I bow down to those. I will never be on that level. No. Even Elliott Smith, I fucking love Elliott Smith, but every time I'm like, and this is why you're the superior writer. I hear it every time. It puts a little tear in my eye of going, why do I even bother to hold a pen next to you when you have just simple genius and I can't even, you're just simply genius and I can't even touch that. One's so complicated in comparison to the simplicity of your genius. Like, oh no, I feel that too. But I also at the end of the day go, I didn't write for him either. I didn't get dressed for anybody but me today or whatever, and that's the thing. So again, wrong. Feelings are often accompanied by fantasies or unlimited success, brilliance, power. I've said it so many times, you've heard me say it. If I was smarter, I would have been out of Star Wars. Though it is a doozy. It's not easy. It's not that I'm stupid that I'm still here, it's that I just wasn't smart enough to get beyond it. As far as you want me to recognize, I've had people be like, you could be a total diva in the stance that you've lived. Yeah, and wow, I'm surprised you're not. Thanks. Thank you for recognizing finally something good. You just want me to think that I'm not in a default position of power or undermine that by saying that I make that super personal. But I'm not a diva. I'm not. So how personal did I really? No, but admittedly, like, does power go to anyone's head? Sure. I like power. I do like power, but I'm not sitting here trying to covet it or abuse it. Nah, I just prefer having it to not. So I think the fantasy you'd want me to live is a non-reality. And I'm like, no. I have a lot of power. I clearly don't. It still doesn't make me smart enough to get to a place where I can really turn that tide. I have not. I don't know all the things that are going on, so my knowledge is limited, and my abilities to do something with that knowledge is clearly limited, or I wouldn't still be doing this almost a decade later. Then again, it's a hell of a lot more than you said I was capable of, so that's also an interesting think piece. Must be the center of attention. Now, I do run this channel, I just stated my motivation for why. I have good intentions. It's not something that I really foresee doing after I'm out of this. No, I think I'll probably take selective press and leave it at that. I miss my anonymity, my God. I think about that a lot. Must be a center of attention. Most of the time, actually, if you observe it, whoever the other party that I'm with is usually the one that does the majority of talking about themselves, if you really note it. And I'm usually the one that listens more. Doesn't mean I can't interject things about myself or how I relate, but usually it's the other party is doing more talking. I'm kind of a quiet person in real life. Now that's another sort of skewed perception about when you come onto social media, you're there to talk about something, usually at length. Well, so you're selecting topics and times that it's not like I go around all day and have this much to say to everybody. No, I kind of fall back socially. I'm Sigma. It doesn't mean that because I'm scared to interject, or it doesn't mean that I'm underconfident. It just means I don't know, I'm not a joiner. I just rather not. It's not that I'm not engaged in individual conversations. I can totally be engaged in that. It's that, I don't know. I'm kind of quiet. Often monopolize conversations. Nah, there you go right there. Feel slighted, mistreated, depleted, and enraged when ignored. the whole game is about ignoring what is going on, about not asking me directly. Does it piss me off? Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Who wouldn't? You're stuck in a goddamn fishbowl. Sure. But not any more than it's torture to be under this situation that I've been put in. It truly, it's like living in an artificial reality. I can't explain the depth of the hell of that. So that's true. I do feel mistreated, but not because I'm at a party and so doesn't want to talk to me. I don't really probably care. Or let's say, neighbors are having it get together and I'm not invited. That's really okay too. You can feel that tinge. And I've seen it numerous times. They're talking and I'm not there for the conversation or whatever, and I'm like, you feel that tinge and you move on with your day. You go do something. Alright. It doesn't really affect me. Not really. I see old friends of mine hanging out with old people who fucked me over, and it's like, I'm not like pining to be recognized by that. Nah, I'd rather just move on. Relationships are based on surface attributes and not unique qualities of others. Bullshit. I've been very supportive of the strengths of others. That's something that I like to do, is find where the people really shine as them. It doesn't matter if they're a painter or a photographer or whatever the thing is, a business person or work for environmental this or that. It's an activist on and on, or maybe they're just a person of God. It doesn't matter. I find what I genuinely believe makes that person strong, and I point it out to them. I do offer a lot of praise and support in that. I don't know that anyone's really denying that. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't also be critical. Yeah, I can, especially of my lovers, but it does mean that I feel that I give praise where it's due. If you're a good parent, or you're a good person, or you're attractive, or if you're really well educated on a subject or something, I'm probably going to point it out to you. That's not hard for me to do because you're you, and that doesn't threaten me unless you're threatening me. You're allowed to be you and bloom. I think it's been very much the opposite. I've genuinely tried to help aid people blooming into who they totally are. I'm kind of known to be a catalyst for that. Some people call it an encourager, and it's not bullshit. If I'm saying it, it's because I believe it. People are only valued only to the extent that they are viewed as beneficial. This is a sign of a narcissist. I could use a lot more people, and I generally kind of avoid the whole thing, so that doesn't make any sense. And as far as using people, I'm sure you'll make the argument for this or that. I feel that I've been pretty equal, or sometimes even generous to a fault with others. I think you've seen that. So whether it's time or effort and not getting that same, reciprocity or helping somebody with this or that, or talking something out, or being there to take the phone call when someone's upset, or I feel like I always message people back that reach out that need emotional support, or whatever. I feel that I've tried to be there for people, or if they're in an emergency, try to help. I kind of have to watch that because I'm like a fixer. I want to fix it for you, and it's so hard for me to go, okay, you just do it, and just sit and go. They'll ask you to fix it if that's what they want, and it's so hard for me because I just want to jump in and fix it. That's one of the problems with empathy, lack of empathy, severely limited or totally lacking ability to bullshit, absolute bullshit, to care about others' emotional needs or experience, even loved ones. And you can go ahead and verify this in the past 8 years. Whenever anybody has reached out to me for emotional support, it doesn't really matter who they are. I can't think of a time that I haven't reciprocated with a message or a meeting or a phone call or bullshit. No, go ahead. I think you'd be pretty hard pressed to find an example of that. I do like to be there when people are in need, and fuck, even if I don't know them, there was someone this month who I spent many hours, I'm not sure, maybe I'm estimating here, maybe 6 hours, something like that. I don't know him, have never met him. It was just on a recommendation. My friend said my friend needs help. He needs to talk about legal issues. He's going through a hard time. He needed life advice, not just legal advice, life advice. And he was a cool cat. And I did that. And I don't even know who that person is. Like, that's just, if I can help, I'm gonna try. And that's also been things like, I remember in California, this lady came up to me, and I think she kind of knew, and she's like, my daughter is missing. Can you please broadcast about this? And I did. Once a week for a couple weeks, and I don't know, but I get this feeling that maybe her daughter did hear the message. Don't know what led from it. The things like that, I have used this channel for that. Or missing children, I've done that. Or friends that maybe are going through something that are okay. Now, they're not always okay with me coming on here. That's a big thing. Most of the time, they're not okay with it. And sharing the thing, even if they are in need, they don't want to use that. So if it's a situation where they're okay with it, then I will use this platform to blast out about this or that. I know that I could use this channel more to do more social events and reporting on just life in general, of events that happen. I've thought about that. I have done that. I have brought awareness to certain things or organizations or places that need support or events that have happened, but I don't want to derail my focus, and that's a hard choice, but I do it. And so, not wanting to derail my focus, instead I write about things that matter, like say for the nonprofit, where I'm writing about these themes of human trafficking and protections for women and children. I try to do it in another arena to not distract. It's not because I don't care. Obviously, you've seen I've done numerous nonprofit work, and some of it, none of it gave me recognition. Let me tell you that. It was not for that. None of it offered that. I didn't become the mayor because of my good deeds. There was no press on me, nothing. And yet I continued to go to, oh God, I was so many nonprofits and volunteer things. I didn't even list them all. Beach cleanups. I helped build the playground in El Verano school in Sonoma. I cleaned up the school in Santa Cruz. On and on. There's so many things at this point, like that. These little things that accumulate that and there's no credit until now. It doesn't even do anything. There was no press. There was no ulterior motive. Half the time I wasn't even paid to do it. Sometimes I was, but nothing, no huge wage or anything like that. So there really is no other alternative except ulterior motive, except for to do what I think is the right thing at the time, which I think undermines the entire premise of narcissism. That boredom and that emptiness that they feel, it's because they have no real meaning in their lives, and I very much feel that I do. That's one thing that, regardless of whatever staunch demands that my family makes about why don't you go work at Starbucks or whatever their stupid critique is, truly, just wow, is I have meaning in my life, and that is, to me, that's the crux of contentment. Let me tell you, to have it and to not is a vast difference on the existential low department. I have it, and I've had it this whole time, and I think that's why, regardless of how tough things get, I'm still laughing, and I'm still at peace. And it doesn't matter, if I'm going through a difficult time, or I'm feeling sad or lonely, or whatever the thing is, it doesn't matter. That knowing that if I were to die tomorrow and I would have to justify my life to any kind of higher power, that I could, that's next to everything, man. And it offers such a bedrock of self-confidence that really can't be taken away. No, it's, wow, unparalleled. So that would be a contradiction of what I should be able to do. Identity disturbance. Okay, sense of self is highly superficial. No, mine's substantiated through hard work, brick and mortar hard work, extremely rigid and often fragile. Nah, it's not. You say it's surface level, but I understand the. My identity was so stripped. It's actually the opposite. My identity was so stripped down by fire that I became only my bullet points, and those bullet points shine now. And it might not be as many points as I thought it once was. Once you told me that I was bad at everything, and every negative thing you could throw my way, you know, the ways I thought were cool faded. I don't feel cool anymore. Nah, that's all right though. But I do feel like me, and I feel very substantiated in those claims because I've walked through fire with nothing but my convictions, and I've traveled in total danger and slept under the stars and said fuck you and woke up the next day over and over again. And I've got some traits about myself that I truly respect, and some that I don't, and some that are works of improvement. But my bullet points are something that there's something. It's substantiated through time and being tested, and it might not be what you have. I'm not the girls next door. I'm never going to be a Playboy centerfold. I'm not, a rich girl, or I'm not the most fashionable girl on the block, or I'm not a jet setter, or, there's so many things that I'm not that maybe you think are more important. But to me, in the way things that are important to me, I've proven myself to myself, and so feel confident in that. Not in everything, but in what I'm confident in. Yeah. And self-stability depends on maintaining the view that one is exceptional. Nah, I just want to not be seen as the total troglodyte that you said that I was. You said that I was like, oh my god, like literally like a terrorist who worked for ISIS, okay? And I was like all these things, that I was gay, and that I was, not that being gay is bad, but just that it's not me, or that I was illiterate, or that I had learning disorders. You went on and on, really, wow, very creative in all your bullshits, and nobody owns their mistakes. My family's sitting there spouting, well, she just needs to own it. And I'm sorry, what did you model? Yeah, not that. Let me tell you. So, grandiose sense of self is easily threatened. No, in the ways I'm cool, in the ways I'm not, I'm never gonna be. Patients retreat from or deny realities that challenge grandiosity. You can disprove me, but you have to prove it. All you guys do is talk shit and go, well, I don't believe that. Well, prove it. That's the problem. You guys are trying to say, well, there's a level of denial or something there, and it's like, but you're not disproving it. I can't fucking hear what you're not saying. You want to disprove it to me? I've never said you're not allowed to do that. You're not doing it. And then you're going, wow, the thought is honestly kind of insane. We had these negative thoughts that disagreed with her, and we feel that she should be able to read them from 50,000 miles away. Are you fucking kidding me right now? So, no, sweetheart. I said no. 1 second. No empathy, remember? Okay, difficulties with attachment and dependency. Relies on feedback from the environment. I generally block it out. I don't. It's either you're harping on something that, yeah, I'm a flawed person, but do I need it thrown in my face like that? You guys exacerbate and exaggerate and blatantly lie so much. 99% of the stories that I've heard that are negative, I'm like, blatantly have no basis in reality, or are so convoluted to have an entirely different context that I'm like, it's honestly at the point that I'm just rolling my eyes going, I don't even want to hear it anymore, because it's such a waste of my own mental energy. Why don't I just bloom and not compete with your bullshit, So do I rely on it? Nah, in fact, the opposite. Relationships only exist to shore up a positive self-image. Doesn't explain my dating. Let me tell you that. Doesn't explain my dating. No, where the other person is far more narcissistic or selfish, and I'm like trying to set positive self-image. Like, I can't say I was pedestalized in those last two relationships. And I say relationships when it's over. I think it's got to be over 3 months, but more like 6 months. But I'd say over 3 to be called a relationship. If I dated you for a couple weeks, this does not. So just to clear that up. Interactions are superficial. Nah, there's no way you guys are really claiming that. Nah. It's always got something you're like, well, that's not fun. You like sat there and you talked about that person's emotional struggle or their life struggle with them. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I really do. I'm a friend. I'm a real friend. Not to. I'm not popular. No. I never was. No. I don't think I ever will be. No. But but I'm known. What a statement. It's not good. It's not good. But are my relationships superficial? Nah. Yeah, I don't think how could you possibly claim that when I've sat there and I've talked about struggles that that's like what people come to me for is about their struggles, whatever it is. That's a lot of what people come to me to talk about, and I'm right there with them. Doesn't matter, big or small, doesn't matter. I haven't heard from them for years, or if I've ever even met them. No, there's definitely a depth to my relationships. I don't do the mass kind of trying to meet everybody networky. Oh yeah, oh my god, thing is the guacamole sure is special. I don't do the whole thing. I more go with individuals and learn a lot about them and there for them. How can you deny this? I mean, look at even with Caprice, it's like we're sitting there having heart to heart after heart to heart, or if you look at friends that I hadn't had for a long time, or I ask people a lot of questions about themselves. I'm really curious, about why people feel the way that they do, or what perspective that they have to offer, what life experience, or what their sense of humor is like, or that they're doing all right, that they're okay. It matters to me. Intimacy is avoided. I think on some level that's true. I think not only is that kind of the default positioning that I'm in, but I think it also is, I think on a deeper level, even before you got here, that there's levels of that intimacy is avoided, but not with friends, with lovers. And I think I combat that I do and I don't. On one hand, I seek it. On one hand, I want to talk about it. On one hand, I want to cuddle about it and offer them support and be supportive of their dreams or their ambitions. And on the other hand, I think I run like hell. And I think I do that by either avoiding maybe being in a relationship with somebody who would truly be intimate with me, or trapping myself with someone that I know is going to be giving me every excuse to run. And I do that so that I always have an excuse to run. I do suffer from that problem, but not across the board. No, just with lovers. I do this in a convoluted, backhanded way that maybe you might not have caught, but ultimately is true. I will give you that. Intimacy is avoided. Unfortunately, yes. When the attention and praise are not available, patients feel empty, bored, depressed, and restless. I mean, when is it really available, you guys? How much praise do I really get through this? And still, now, it's a difference to have bullying. I don't like to get bullied, and I will drop people or distance myself from people where I feel like I'm always the butt of their joke, or always they're saying something negative that's triggering to me, like making fun of me, or picking on me, or acting like I'm stupid, or like acting like, she doesn't know the joke that we said, let's tack it up on our door. Like, I'm pretty aware of those kind of things, and I just choose not to be around that negativity. But it doesn't mean I need you to praise me at all. I think that my closer friendships these days, they do involve a level of praise. I think that the person might offer a compliment, but it's also reciprocated. I'm prone to giving praise and compliments to people, and I think it's not reliant on that. I don't pick up a phone call from a friend in distress time again, because I'm hoping that they'll say something nice about me. I'm doing that because my friend is in need, and I'm hoping to help. And I'm not out there fishing for compliments or like, hey, like, I drew this picture, I drew this picture, I drew this picture. Like, do you think it's good? Do you think it's good? How do you like my outfit? Do you like how I did my makeup today? Like, it's nothing. I'm not seeking any of that. But I have to admit that I do get compliments from friends, and that it does make me feel good. So maybe you have a point in that, I guess. But no, but you don't, because no, you don't. So, hey, sweetheart. Compromise is required by school. Oh shoot, honey, it's not kiddo. Just clicked the page off. Compromises required by school, job, relationships may feel unbearable. Oh, this is for life transitions. I mean, I've moved all over the world time and again. I think I've transitioned fairly well. I think I'm pretty used to it. It's not easy though. You're right. When I moved to this new town and I didn't know anybody, I'll admit that that's hard sometimes, like to do things like that. It's not always easy, but it's definitely not unbearable. I mean, at this point, I've traveled around the world and lived around the world in so many towns. Like, I'm talking, I've lived in over 30 places. I pretty much welcome transition. I'm a bit of a nomad at heart. Like, I think you were well aware of that. And I don't mind to go on to something new. And you always see, I'm like all about new projects and new endeavors and new people and places and things. It's a lot of newness to be avoiding it. Nah, I wouldn't say that's correct. Young adults may have failure to launch. I'm launching now. I'm just maybe behind where I would have been because of life circumstances. Don't think that doesn't hurt me. Not for what you think, business and all this. No. The only thing that hurts me about that is I genuinely wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I feel like I never can do it because it will never be the same. And that, honestly, is one of the only sacrifices that I've made that like truly hurts. It actually cuts really deep. I don't know why. It's like the only one that I get kind of fucked up by. But there's other ways to do that, and I do comedy through other ways, drag and stuff like that. So that was a really hard. I remember the month that I had to accept that was never going to be my life, and that sucked. And it's still, I don't like talking about it because it's one of those things. Young adults may have failure to launch. Nah, you're seeing that's not true. Narcissist personality disorder also is a significant. Okay, that's me refuting that. There's a lot more to narcissism personality disorder. There's a lot of vicious will. Now, I don't like people that have hurt me. I will talk mad shit, but how much have I really done to them? Noted. Do I spend my time, sitting there over some minor infraction and I'm out to get you? No, I have a finite list, actually. It comes down to it's anybody that I think that justice needs to be sought against them, opposing them, and that's usually for the welfare of other people when I think that. But the personal side comes from what they did, that I know personally that this person is that fucked up, and I'm not taking someone else's word for it. But when I think of issuing, for example, recently I had to give a testimonial about someone who was making a bunch of false claims to say that I, in my experience, did not find those claims to be true. Did I do that to be vindictive? No. I did that because had I not done that, other people would have gotten hurt by that person. And so it does serve a bigger, and that actually had nothing to do with me. That had to do with a child that was involved, and that had to do with a good friend of mine who needed someone fucking to have his back, because God knows enough people were stabbing him in it. You cannot even trust friends, family, exes, wow, it's the guy more justice than he's getting, let me tell you. So that was the reasons behind that. Other than that, what do you have for saying retaliation or anything? All you have is shit talking. I haven't done anything to anybody at this point. No, I've been talking about it for 8 years. So what's the risk factor? I mean, as everything that you know, I've never done anything. And I have, there's a lot of people that have been abusive of their power over me in my life. Yeah. And they could all go on a list somewhere, and maybe karma, maybe life takes care of that. Maybe even people that are in support of me take care of that. I'm all for it, but I don't go around my time issuing revenge through action. You've yet to catch it. So this is me refuting narcissism. Yes, I've studied about it. No, I don't have a certification in it, but I read about it almost every week. And there's more to it, dude. There's so much more to it. There's a lot to narcissism that was not stated on that list, but I'm rolling my eyes. You guys are just taking my, this is kind of, I actually wrote this on a comment on, actually Russell, is the only comment I left, but on Russell Brand's channel recently, people have accused him of being a narcissist and this and that. And I'm like looking at someone like him and I'm like, he's just talented. He's just well spoken. He's just a delight to listen to. I love to listen to him talk. He's so well spoken, and I'm like, and entertaining in the whole thing. And I'm like, and I, was just like, is it really narcissism when it's just talent? If you have a purpose and a point that enhances and does not detract from the world, enhances the world with information. Like, look at Snowden. He doesn't put his personality in there at all. And yet he also, is it narcissism? That's what you'll try to say. But he leaves his ego out of it, and you can tell that. And he's just there to do what he thinks is right, which is provide information. Or you look at someone like Russell Brand, who's got a lot of personality, but does it serve a purpose? Is it just him talking about him? No. He can't help that he's fabulous in delivery. That would be boring if he wasn't. But he's actually giving back to the world and going like, let's talk about, big pharma. Let's talk about this political thing. Let's talk about this spiritual thing. He is enhancing the world through it. And so I'm like, it's not real narcissism. And that was kind of my point is, if your talent stands alone, and what the purpose of why you speak is, has value, then it's not a detraction. That's just about you. It is a gift to the world. And you can say that that's egotistical to feel that it's a gift to the world for me to open my mouth and speak. Okay. I mean, whatever. You just want me to feel bad about myself. I'm entertaining. I've kept your attention for a long time. I have something valuable to say. There's a point to all of this. I never did this before, and I don't plan to do it after. There's a point to doing all this, which is that if I'm not giving up, fuck that, dude. I'm in it to win it. If I can end up breaking through this thing and helping out people, right on. And if, I've split into different channels to do more nonprofit writing, or, Omni Presents. It's an entire social justice advocacy channel that I created where I'm largely exposing the cops or friends of mine that needed help, or events that I feel like need to be reported on. And I did lose the majority of my footage for that, so it is kind of much smaller. There's 20 something videos on it, but it's a much smaller channel than it should have been had the other one not been deleted. But there's there's a point to this, or I'm changing the world with my poetry. I also have poetry channels and this and that, other gives, which are arguable and that they're gives. But so someone emotes will say your book, the sacrifice is about being raped extensively, and if somebody else reads some of that and is moved and maybe finds healing in it, then hey, cool. Do I know that it will do that for any of my art? Fucking I don't know. I doubt that it changes the world. I doubt that it truly changes one individual's life, truly. It might be a blip in the radar of individual's life, and maybe it has a healing property in that moment. I don't foresee that it changes an entire paradigm for anybody. But I produce it because I think it's still worth the read. If poetry is, then I think that it is, and if art is, then I'm create it. But admittedly, I don't really do that for you. I don't. So, no, because I don't write for you. I don't write to think about what you're gonna read. I write because I need to write, motherfucker. So I guess that's actually not narcissistic, or I would be writing for you. Oh yeah, it's the antithesis of narcissism. But maybe I publish it for you. And I publish it to say I did something with my time, so that you can stop saying that I didn't. And try to make money off of it. Yeah, at this point, yeah. So this has been Countering Your Narcissism. Any comments, or do we want to continue with pop psychology? You're taking the fact that I have the audacity to post on social media as narcissism as the proof of that, and I come on and I'm not defeatist, I'm boasting. Well, yeah, that's my agenda. I don't come on here to sit here and degrade myself and tell you all the flaws that I see in myself. You know, that time I misused the word and therefore I don't know what it means, or that time that I had a stupid idea and I didn't know better and then realized later, oh my god, you were totally wrong. Like, for example, what's his name? Machine Gun Kelly. I thought he was young. I thought he was in his 20s, and I was like, oh, he's too young. Turns out he's 30. I was wrong. You know, it was a dumb thing I said. And later on, maybe I should have looked it up. Oh, maybe you didn't need to make a tape like right away then. You know, like, I say dumb shit, there's no doubt, but I'm not gonna sit there and continue to give. You have more. I don't have to say anything. I could literally sit on a sidewalk in silence, and he would still tell me that I was doing it all wrong. So I don't need to give you any more. You've got it on the terms of shredding me down, because, well, in my experience, people that just sit there and shred at someone who's never really done anything to them, to shit, or doing it under a false pretense, it's usually because they feel pretty shit about themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be such losers, and they would get a life and maybe have something more positive to say, or nothing at all. She's not fun. Are you having fun? Are you having fun? Okay, whatever. Go have fun. Fuck off. Yeah, no, but really.